There comes a moment in life when your heart whispers a truth your mind has been too afraid to speak. That moment is now. You were not born to shrink. You were not created to live in the shadows of other people's greatness. You were designed, destined to shine, to lead, to conquer. But the world, oh, the world has tried to tame you. It told you to be humble when it really meant small. It told you to be realistic when it really meant afraid. And it told you to be grateful when it really meant settle. Well, today that ends. Today, I'm not here to whisper comfort. I'm here to light a fire in your soul. Act as if you are the best. Believe first, the world will follow. There is a power that lives within every single person, a force so potent it can bend the world to your will, and that power is belief. Not the kind that waits for evidence, not the kind that needs applause or approval, but the kind that is planted deep inside, burning like a furnace before anything visible has taken form. Belief is the spark that starts the fire of achievement. It is the inner voice that says, I am, long before the world says, you are. Those who have changed the course of history, those who have risen from nothing to everything, all started in the same place. They believed, and not quietly, not timidly. They believed with a boldness so loud the world had no choice but to listen. When you believe first, before the results, before the recognition, you are building your future with invisible bricks. But those bricks are stronger than steel. That's how empires are built, not from outside validation, but from the unshakable certainty that you were born to rise. Most people live their lives backward. They wait for signs, wait for validation, wait for someone else to say, now you're ready. But the truth is, you must move forward without it. Belief is not a reward, it is the requirement. It is the soil in which all dreams are planted. You don't wait until you're the best to believe you are. You believe you're the best, then you train, then you grind, then you sacrifice, and you become. The world is drawn to conviction. It doesn't respond to hesitation, to maybe, to halfway. It responds to people who walk into a room and act like they belong there, even when the room says otherwise. Think about it. Every legend was once unproven. Every champion was once doubted. But they moved as if victory was already theirs, and that is what turned the tide. If you carry yourself like someone who needs to be convinced, you'll spend your life begging for recognition. But if you carry yourself like someone who knows who they are, others will eventually agree. You cannot demand from the world what you haven't first demanded from yourself. If you want the world to believe in your vision, your value, your voice, you must be the first believer in the room. That's not ego, that's alignment. It's not about walking with arrogance, it's about walking with certainty. People trust those who trust themselves. People follow those who are already moving. And opportunity has a way of chasing those who have already decided they are worthy. So many never even start, not because they aren't capable, but because they are waiting to be chosen, waiting to be discovered, waiting for permission. But here's the truth no one told you. The most powerful people in the world chose themselves. They stepped into their roles long before anyone handed them the title, and they acted as if they were the best, until one day they were. When you walk in belief, you begin to shift your environment. You speak differently. You carry yourself with more command. You stop asking, what if I fail, and start declaring, what if I succeed beyond imagination? That kind of thinking rewires your habits, your posture, your presence. You start showing up as a leader even if no one's following yet. You stop shrinking to fit into places you've outgrown, and you start expanding to match the vision in your mind. The world will always reflect your energy. Show up timid, and it gives you limits. Show up bold, and it gives you space. Your belief gives others permission to believe in you. In fact, many people won't believe until you do. So, don't wait. Don't water yourself down just to blend in with the crowd. Your destiny isn't found in the middle, it's found in the fire. The fire that comes from a heart that knows, I may not have the crown yet, but I was born to wear it. Belief is not just a feeling, it's a decision. You choose it daily. You choose it in the silence. You choose it when no one claps, when no one notices, when the progress is invisible and the work is exhausting. You choose it anyway. That's the kind of belief that scares mediocrity. That's the kind of belief that shifts realities. It's easy to believe when you've won, when you've arrived, but the ones who shape the world believe before the victory. They talk like it's already done. They think like it's already real. They move like nothing can stop them, and because of that, nothing does. Even their failures become part of the building blocks, not the breaking points. They don't see setbacks as signs to stop, but as steps in the process. Why? Because their belief isn't conditional. It's rooted. It's locked in. They've made the decision that they are already enough. Not someday, not when the world agrees, but now. Every time you hesitate to believe in yourself, remember this. The world is full of people with less talent than you, doing more than you, simply because they believed first. They didn't wait to be ready, they declared themselves ready. They didn't wait to be told they were the best, they acted like it until the world caught up, and eventually it always does. The world is slow to see what you know about yourself. That's why your belief must come first, because for a while it will be the only thing you have. But that belief will open doors, it will create momentum, and momentum is more valuable than applause. If you can hold that energy long enough, it will pull everything you need toward you. People, resources, timing, and chances that others never even get to see. And it all starts when you decide, I don't need permission to be great. There will be moments when the doubt creeps in, when the silence feels deafening, and when the dream feels too far away to hold. That's where most people give up. That's where belief becomes a battle. And that's where the few are separated from the many. If you can continue to believe in yourself in those moments, when there's no sign of success yet, you've already won. You've already separated yourself from the crowd. The world tests you before it rewards you. It watches to see if you will fold or if you will fight. And belief is the blade you bring into every battle. Not just belief in the outcome, but belief in your identity. That no matter what happens, you are still the one. You are still worthy. You are still rising. And that unshakable belief becomes your reputation. People may not understand you at first, but they'll respect your fire. They'll be drawn to your certainty. And in time, the world will echo back what you've been saying all along. The vision will become visible. The unseen will become undeniable. But that process cannot begin until you make the first move. It all starts with the moment you say to yourself, I believe even if no one else does. I believe even if the evidence hasn't shown up yet. I believe not because of what I've done, but because of who I am. That's where the shift happens. That's where the road clears, and that's where the impossible becomes possible. So don't wait for belief to come from the outside. Don't wait for applause to tell you you're enough. The belief must begin with you, fierce, unwavering, and loud, because once you believe first, the world has no choice but to follow. Confidence is not arrogance, it's truth realized. Confidence isn't loud for attention. It isn't shouting over others to be seen. It's not a costume you wear to convince the world you matter. Real confidence is calm. It's grounded. It's silent power that doesn't need permission to exist. And the reason most people mistake confidence for arrogance is because they've been trained to shrink. They've been told not to stand too tall, not to take up space, not to believe too much in themselves. But listen, your light does not dim someone else's. Your voice does not silence theirs. Confidence is not a threat. It's the result of a deep internal knowing that you were created for more, and you're not afraid to walk in it anymore. There's a truth buried inside you that's been waiting to rise. It's the truth of your worth, your potential, your place in the world. Confidence is the moment that truth is realized and finally accepted. It is not arrogance to recognize your own greatness. It's alignment. You're not saying I'm better than everyone. You're saying I'm not less than anyone. There's a massive difference. Arrogance compares. Confidence doesn't need to. Confidence is internal, rooted, and unshakable. It says, I know who I am, even when no one claps. It walks into the room and doesn't wonder if it belongs. It knows it belongs because it's not seeking validation anymore. So many people think shrinking is noble. They confuse silence with humility. But there is nothing humble about denying the gifts you've been given. You don't serve the world by playing small. Confidence doesn't come from perfection. It comes from acceptance. It comes from owning the flaws, the failures, the past, and still choosing to believe in your future. It's not pretending to be something you're not. It's standing tall in who you truly are. Arrogance wears a mask. Confidence removes it. Arrogance brags because it's insecure. Confidence doesn't have to prove anything because it's already decided it's enough. You weren't born with doubt. You were taught it. You were born to believe in yourself until someone else gave you reasons not to. But confidence isn't lost forever. It's just buried under the lies you've been fed. That you need permission to be powerful. That it's better to stay quiet. That other people's comfort matters more than your truth. Real confidence shatters those lies. It says, I won't apologize for being powerful. I won't apologize for being excellent. I won't apologize for being seen. And you shouldn't, because your confidence gives others permission to rise too. When you walk in truth, you remind the world that it's safe to do the same. Confidence is built in the dark when no one is watching. It's earned in the lonely hours of self-discovery, when you learn to trust yourself. It doesn't show up all at once, it grows. Every time you choose to speak your truth, even when your voice shakes. Every time you show up when it would have been easier to hide. Every time you take the risk, face the fear, and keep going anyway. That's how confidence is born. Through evidence, through action, through refusal to stay small. You don't wait until you feel confident to move. You move and the confidence follows. It's not magic, it's momentum. There's a quiet storm that lives in confident people. It's the kind of energy that doesn't need to explain itself. You feel it before they speak. You see it in how they carry themselves, and how they say no without guilt, how they say yes without doubt, how they look the world in the eye and don't flinch. That storm wasn't gifted to them, it was built. Through every time they didn't back down, through every time they believed in their vision, even when no one else could see it. That's why confidence feels so powerful, because it comes from the inside, and nothing on the outside can shake it. You'll be misunderstood, of course. Some people will call it cocky, some will say you've changed, but what they're really seeing is someone who stopped apologizing for existing. Someone who no longer needs permission to feel worthy. And when people are uncomfortable with your confidence, it's often because it reflects something they haven't claimed in themselves. Don't let that shake you. Don't water down your presence to make others feel okay. You're not here to be palatable, you're here to be powerful. Real confidence doesn't adjust to make others feel safe. It stands firm and says, this is who I am. I hope you rise too. And this is the beautiful truth. You never had to chase confidence. It was always within you. What you're doing now is simply remembering, reclaiming, restoring what the world tried to strip away. And when you do, everything changes. Your relationships shift, your boundaries strengthen, your energy becomes magnetic. Because people don't follow the loudest in the room, they follow the most certain, the most honest, the most self-aware, and that can be you. When you stop calling it arrogance to know your worth, and you start realizing it's just truth. Confidence is the quiet roar of someone who has come home to themselves. And once you find that voice, you'll never want to be silent again. Power is claimed, not given. Power is not a gift wrapped in ribbon and handed to you because you were good enough. It is not something you earn by waiting your turn or playing small until someone finally notices. Power is not granted by approval, it is claimed in defiance. It is seized in silence. You don't get power by asking politely. You take it by deciding you deserve to be in control of your life. That's the truth most people avoid because it puts the responsibility on their shoulders. But the truth is, no one's coming to save you. No one's coming to tap you on the shoulder and say, you're the one. You must become the one, by choice, not chance. The world gives you what you demand, not what you deserve. You can spend your entire life waiting for a breakthrough, for recognition, for permission to rise, or you can create it. You can wait for someone to see your value, or you can announce it. You can hope for the doors to open, or you can kick them down. The power belongs to those who claim it without apology. It doesn't mean you trample others to rise. It means you stop hiding, you stop waiting, you stop living like a guest in your own life. You own the room, you own your voice, you own your story, not someday, not when it's convenient, but now. Every powerful person you've ever admired, whether they were a leader, an artist, an innovator, or a visionary, they weren't given their role. They stepped into it, often long before anyone else believed they should. And that's the difference. Most people wait to be noticed. The powerful move is if they've already been chosen. They walk like they belong, speak like they matter, and live like it's already theirs. And eventually the world follows that energy. Because power responds to certainty. It ignores hesitation. It respects those who have already decided who they are. You don't earn a crown by waiting quietly in line. You rise, you speak, you act, and you claim it. So many people wonder why their life feels stuck, why doors don't open, why their voice gets lost in the noise. And it's because they've been trained to wait, to be agreeable, to not disrupt. But you weren't born to blend in. You weren't built for silence. That fire you feel in your gut every time you shrink yourself, that's the real you, screaming to be unleashed. That is the part of you that knows your power, doesn't come from validation, it comes from decision. The moment you say, I will no longer wait for the world to give me permission, everything shifts. Your posture changes. Your energy becomes undeniable. You stop asking and start moving. People confuse authority with approval. But true power doesn't need anyone else to say yes. True power is when you say yes to yourself. It's when you stop trying to impress and start expressing. It's when you realize that you don't need to be allowed, you need to be awake to your voice, your potential, your leadership. And that doesn't come from titles or applause, it comes from taking ownership of your existence. Every decision you make to show up louder, bolder, and more unapologetically, you are stepping deeper into your power, not because someone gave it to you, but because you decided to stop waiting for something you were born with. When you start acting like the person you know you are before anyone else sees it, you change the entire game. You no longer need to be discovered. You discover yourself. You no longer need to be chosen. You choose yourself. And that kind of power is magnetic. It draws the right people, the right opportunities, the right path. But only after you make that internal decision. I'm not waiting anymore. The world will test you. It will question you. It will try to see if you'll fold under pressure. But when your power is self-chosen, no one can take it away. It becomes who you are, not something you have to defend. There's something sacred about claiming your own life. It's the moment you stop being a character in someone else's story and become the author of your own. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You speak like your voice deserves to be heard. You act like your presence makes a difference, and it does. Because power isn't about dominance, it's about direction. It's about choosing where your life is going, how you show up in it, and refusing to be small just because it's easier. Power is presence, it's ownership, and it's a choice you make every single day, long before anyone else sees the result. You don't have to wait for the right time. You don't have to be fully ready. You don't need more followers, more experience, or more validation. What you need is one moment of clarity, one internal decision that you will no longer be passive in the story of your own life. That's where power begins, quietly, boldly, without permission. And when you choose it, the world will shift in response. Not instantly, not always easily, but inevitably. Because true power isn't given, it's claimed, and it's yours. Whenever you're ready to take it. You were never meant to live a life of hesitation, doubt, or invisibility. Within you lies a truth so powerful, it only needs one thing to rise: your permission. When you choose to believe in yourself before the world does, you set a fire that no failure can put out. That belief becomes the foundation. It becomes the reason you rise again and again, even when the path gets dark. And when belief turns into confidence, not arrogance, but truth realized, you stop apologizing for your light. You start showing up fully, fiercely, and without fear. You stop looking for validation and begin walking in self-certainty. Because confidence isn't noise, it's presence, and presence is power. You don't have to be chosen to be worthy. You don't need someone to hand you the keys to your own life. Power was never a gift to wait for. It was always a decision to make. You were not born to be quiet in the face of your own greatness. You were not born to shrink so others feel comfortable. You were born to lead, to create, to speak, to rise. And everything you want begins the moment you decide you don't need permission to be powerful. Stand tall, walk boldly, and speak with the energy of someone who already knows the crown fits. Thank you for listening. Walk in belief, move in confidence, claim your power, and never forget, you are already enough. God bless you.